Hello. So today we are here with press photographer and photojournalist Luke Dray, and Luke is early 20s, is that right?
Yeah, 20.
And Luke has made the transition from working in a camera shop to being a professional photojournalist and splitting his time between the UK and Uganda. And how long did that take you to make the transition?
From the camera shop to being it was a long. I would be working in the camera shop, and then if I saw a good story, I would ask for time off to go and cover it. Like in 2016, I think it was, the Calais jungle, which was this big refugee camp in northern France, was evicted, and I took the time off to go and photograph that because it was a very important story at the time. That was because it was such a big story, it was worth going to take the time off and trying to cover it, which was my first foreign story. So yeah.
Exciting. And one of the reasons I asked Luke to be here today is even though Luke wasn't made redundant, his story exemplifies one of the things that really help people who have been made redundant and want to start over again. So Luke has basically had to spend a lot of time working for free, building up relationships in a creative industry, and working very hard. Yeah, it must have been quite a struggle. Tell us exactly how you kept going and the hours you put in and so on.
I kept going because the camera shop wasn't bad money. So it allowed me to go out and shoot. I had a very good boss who let me have to, he was a little bit unfair on the others, actually. He always used to let me have time off when I needed it. And that allowed me to go and do these stories and work for free, and because you have to work for free to get a portfolio. There's no it's not working for free, it's an investment. You've got to look at it as an investment, the same as university or whatever. You're learning on the job, and you can't learn this sort of craft at a university. I mean, people try and teach you at university, but you'll learn more in a day in Downing Street than you would in 3 years at uni. All you've got to do is speak to people who've been doing it for 50 years and they'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's nice like that. There's so many nice people in this industry who want to help younger people out.
That's good. That's good. And the whole thing about working for free, it's quite contentious, isn't it? So you have one camp that people think, you know, yes, working for free, I build my portfolio, I make the connections. But then there's this thin line between being exploited.
And you've got to stick up for yourself, for sure. And sometimes you may work for free one, 2 or 3 times for one person or one editor or on one thing, but you can't put too much time in that. You're trying to get a broader range of tear sheets or bylines as possible, to then give to an editor and say, this is what I've done, give me some regular work or something, you know. But it is a fine line, but it's also an investment, but you just got to do the investment right. But it's also I acknowledge that I'm very privileged in the fact that I could do that because I was young. I could live at home. I had the camera shop job. Very lucky to have a good boss who let me have time off, and it's important to acknowledge that as well because not everybody has that sort of opportunity either.
Yeah, support is really important. Obviously, you mentioned your boss. How supportive were your family and friends in general? That help?
They're brilliant. They're absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they've never helped me out financially because of course they couldn't. But more like being a shoulder to lean on or whatever. They've been brilliant, or to ask questions about how to approach things, and they're very, very good at helping me build relationships with other people. And my granddad would quite often I'd be worrying about something, he would just say, he'd push me into it. Great. This is it. They're very much of the opinion that now's the time to make mistakes or do anything because there's no responsibility at this stage, really, is there?
Yeah, no mortgage. Yeah,
Exactly.
tying you down.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so you mentioned, the working for free, but it helped you build those relationships with people that can help you. So how did you find that? Was it an easy process to go out and find those sort of role models and mentors?
I think I think it's not easy. No, it's not
Mm,
easy to begin with, and this industry can be very cliquey.
yeah,
You're either a you're even a photographer that everybody knows of, all the other photographers knows of, so they trust you and they look after you, and everybody looks after each other, or you're not.
okay.
It's a very, very cliquey thing, and it does take a long, long time to get yourself established like that. But you do have someone will always take you under their wing and tell you what to do.
Mm,
And I've been very lucky in the fact that a few people have kind of done that to me. A few very,
yeah,
very good people as well.
yeah, yeah. Did
And I
you
think
actually have to
people are always
ask for
afraid to
that?
ask. No, this is it. I
Sorry?
was just going to say, people are always afraid to ask for help,
Mm,
But I think in the um, nicest way possible, professionals love it when a young person asks for their advice. It gives them confirmation they're good at their job. And I
yeah,
suppose you've got to kind of, not in a nasty way, but you just got to use that. Like you speak to a Times photographer who was a Times photographer for 40 years or whatever. They like to help you because they just like to share their knowledge, I think, and
mm,
that's just something for them as well.
yeah, yeah. So
I
we,
mean,
we
I don't know
touched
if
on
it's,
the hard work that you had to put in. Um, Give us an idea of what you mean by that.
you've got to work every hour God sends, especially in the creative world. And if you're given an opportunity, like I had the door open for me. Just it was through a mutual friend, and once you have that door open to you, you've got to bang it down.
Mm,
And then if an editor rings you up and says, "Can you go here and cover this story?" If you're having dinner with your family or your girlfriend or your wife, or whatever, you've just got to go and do it because they're only going to pick up the phone once.
yeah,
But if you don't say yes, they're not going to pick it up again. News is a 24-hour thing. You can't say I'm going to take time off when you're beginning. You can't afford to. You want to be there for everything. You want to be available for everyone.
mm,
And you would work from 4 a.m. till 10 p.m.
wow,
Yeah, that's just what it is.
yeah.
That's just how it is. You can't not do that, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere.
There's a lot of stamina involved.
Yeah, but then it's a physical job because you're on your feet all day, but that's
Mm,
nice as well.
yeah, yeah. And when you were, in the camera shop and just starting to venture out and do this, I mean, was this something you were exploring and then decided this was your thing, or this was the plan always, and the camera shop was a step along that
Um,
strategy?
to begin with, no, the camera shop wasn't a step, but I think it quite quickly became obvious that it was a step.
Hmm.
Because I must have been 16 or 17 and really starting to get an interest in news photography.
Yeah.
And it was something that could get me cameras cheap. It was something that could get me experience with cameras as well, all different brands of cameras and lenses, and you really, really get to understand the technical side of cameras, which is quite important. Not a lot of photographers are incredible photographers, but they don't understand like how to fix a camera or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then it gave you access to, well, in my case, it gave you access to a lot of time off as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And what led you to photojournalism as opposed to becoming a wedding photographer or portrait or landscape or whatever?
I have no idea. No idea. It's just God's calling. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel it's a calling?
I don't think I don't feel it's a calling. No, it's just a job, but it's certainly more than just a job. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's such an important. I can't get across what a good photo means to me. And recently, I was at a Black Lives Matter demonstration in London, and everybody saw the picture of from a Reuters photographer of the white man being pulled out by Patrick Hutchinson. I've forgotten the white dude's name. But I got a picture of that, but I didn't get the picture, and that killed me. I was really down for a week or so, because it's those moments that you're trying to capture that defining picture, and when you've got such a defining, definitive picture of such a huge event, like the Black Lives Matter movement is a huge shift in cultural identity for countries all around the world. There's been a bit of a cultural awakening, hasn't there? And that was such a defining moment of the worldwide, and the fact that I was there but didn't get the shot, that was
yeah. So you hard on yourself when it comes to this sort of thing.
You?
Yeah.
If you think you'd be incredibly arrogant to think that you're the best or your picture's always going to be best. That's not the case. Your picture's very rarely best. You've just got to do the best job you can do at the time. You've got to be hard on yourself, otherwise you don't get better, do you?
No, yeah. Continuous improvement.
Yeah.
So takeaways from this, really, for anyone that is thinking of moving into something creative. Basically, work hard, be prepared to work for free, reach out, ask for help.
That's so important, because not only will they give you professional guidance, some people are kind enough to give you their contact book as well.
That matters a lot. Yeah,
that means the world.
Well, like you said, it was a mutual acquaintance that opened the door for you. It was who you know.
It's very much who you know in this one, very much. I mean, you could have all the training in the world, but if you didn't know anybody, you'd be stuffed. You've just got to write every name and every number down you ever meet, because you might need them one day.
I think that goes for moving into any industry, actually. And anything else you'd like to add that occurs to you that would be useful for someone deciding to move into the creative industry?
You've got to work twice as hard as everybody else. That's the way it is, sad. But then I don't know if that's sad either. I think that's just how much do you want it? How much do you want your job? You don't want it, you won't work hard. If you want it, you'll work your arse off for it, won't you?
So do you see a lot of people fall by the wayside who are trying to get into this industry?
I haven't been around long enough. I haven't been around long enough for that, I don't think. And especially more recently, the fact that instead of working with the press pack in London, I work very much alone in Africa. It's two very, very different places. Whereas in London, you might be around 10 or 20 or up to 100 other photographers. In Uganda, 9 times out of 10, you're very, very much alone with either you and a fixer or just on your Todd.
So a fixer is someone who sort of knows the region,
knows the local lingo, knows how to get around. It's all well and good if you live in a country and you understand a little bit of it, but some stories you need to have a local person with you. Or if you don't speak the language, you need to have a local.
So I know that you've won a few awards, and you're now split between London and Uganda, and obviously right now at this moment everything is probably
sunny Brighton. It's not sunny today though.
But what do you see, what do you hope the future will hold for you over the next few years?
I really want to get back out to Africa. It kills me that I can't get back over there at the moment, because there's so many important stories that I want to go and cover. Coronavirus has highlighted in the UK the lack of what's the word? We have an incredible lack of access in this country, more than any other country really. To think of it, like in America, in Italy, in France, in Spain, and even in Brazil, where you've got a reasonably controlling government. They let photographers and journalists into hospitals, and they let them have access to the story. Whereas in this country, the access to the government or the NHS, I don't know who's been blocking the access to hospitals in the UK, but we haven't been able to tell the story. I think people will look back at COVID-19 in look back at it from history, from the pictures, from the videos, at a country that just had 3 or 4 months off, and we didn't have 40,000+ people dying, and we didn't have this tens and hundreds of thousands of people in hospital with the virus. We're not going to see that because journalists didn't have the access to document this.
Yeah. I've noticed that. You see things from New York and, in the hospitals. We haven't seen the same in the UK.
Like the New York Times did an incredible story in Italy. It was the first coronavirus story, and the pictures were phenomenal. The access they had to the Red Cross and to the COVID ambulances and to the COVID wards was phenomenal, and it awakened the West to the crisis. I think.
Yes.
That bit. I don't know if you saw that bit of work from Northern Italy.
Yes, I did. It was harrowing. Yeah.
Yeah. The way the New York Times put that together woke the world up a bit, because we hadn't seen anything like that from Asia, but as soon as it came to Italy, the world woke up, and those pictures woke the world up. But we haven't been able to have that in the UK, which has just affirmed my commitment to Africa, because there's no access here. It's all, it's very, very difficult to work here now.
Yeah. So I suppose, apart from your own personal gratification of, getting photos published, you're playing a role for society, aren't you, in history as a photojournalist?
I think collectively, as a industry.
Yeah.
I don't think any individual is, but as a unit, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your experience and knowledge with us, and all the details on Luke's website and so on will be below the video, and do go and take a look at his photos. Brilliant. Thank you.
Right, have a good day.